Welcome back into the NW Sportscast. The Seattle Seahawks dominate the Miami Dolphins. They win this one by a score of 24-3. And from the jump, the Seahawks looked like the better team in the first, second, third, and fourth quarter. There was just absolutely no signs of weakness from the Seahawks team in this game. Defensively, they looked like the better unit. Offensively, they looked like the better unit. And special teams, they did too. I mean, the Seahawks looked like a different class than the Dolphins this game. And you can say, look, maybe that's because there's no Tua. Skylar Thompson had to go to be thrown in there. And then Skylar Thompson actually got hurt. They had to go to the third-string QB. But either way, I don't think it would have mattered. Tua Tagovailoa is not a 21-point difference of a QB. Maybe Patrick Mahomes is, but not Tua. So the Seahawks are a better team than the Dolphins, and they are now 3-0 because of it. So this Seahawks team that a lot of people say, hey, can they get to 7, 8, 9 wins? Well, they're a third of the way to that 9-8 threshold that a lot of people, including myself, think will be enough to make the playoffs. And yes, their schedule gets a lot harder. Yes, have they had a few easy games? Sure. But they've taken advantage of them. And you've seen a lot of teams around the NFL not be able to do that. You've seen the Bengals lose to the Patriots. The Seahawks beat the Patriots. You see this, the Seahawks just beat the Dolphins. Well, the Dolphins beat the Jaguars. And the Jaguars are a good team. So, whatever way you want to slice it, this Seahawks team has 3 wins. The only undefeated team in the NFC West. And quite frankly, I don't think they're the best team in the NFC West, but they've looked like the best team in the NFC West. So, don't be calling the Seahawks the favorites by any means to win the West. But if you say, at the end of this year, the Seahawks somehow pull off 11, 12 wins and take the division, I would say, yeah, I could see that happening. Where just 3 weeks ago, there's no way in hell I think that at all. And this is now a division where the Cardinals are competitive, the Rams are competitive, the 49ers are, and the Seahawks. So it's going to be an absolute dogfight. Seahawks still have not played an NFC West opponent, so we'll have to see what happens there on that front. But let's get into this game, the Seahawks defense. I think I have to start with them, given the Dolphins just 3 points. And the Dolphins had a few chances, they did. Towards the end there, it was 17-3. They were inside the own 5-yard line of the Seahawks, and bend, don't break, baby. The Seahawks defense holds strong. 4th and goal, a nice stop by the defense. And from there on out, it was the Seahawks game to lose. The Dolphins tried to fight back, but just Skylar Thompson, Tim Boyle just did not have it today. And once again, you can say, oh, well, the Seahawks defense looked really good because of Tim Boyle and Skylar Thompson. Okay, and they looked really good. You can't control who you play. Sure, they've played Jacoby Brissett, they've played Skylar Thompson, Tim Boyle, and Bo Nix. And they've looked really good against all 4 of those quarterbacks. So if you want to say those quarterbacks are bad, would I argue with you? No. But I don't think that's an indictment on this Seahawks defense. I think that is, the Seahawks being able to go out, have a great game plan. Mike McDonald is showing why he is one of, if not the best defensive mind in football right now. And they're showing their might, and they're showing why this defense can be a top 10 unit in the entire league. I mean, look, Skylar Thompson, Tim Boyle, they combined for under 200 yards. 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions on that end. The rushing attack wasn't really there for the Dolphins either. Chain went just 11 carries for 30 yards. Jalen Wright, Jeff Wilson combined for 31. So, look, 60 yards of rushing, under 200 yards passing, 3 points. You take that every day of the week. Tyreek Hill, 3 receptions, 40 yards. Jalen Waddle, 4 receptions, 26 yards. I mean, look, those 2 guys are arguably top 32 wide receivers in the league, both of them. This is potentially the best receiving core in the entire NFL, this Dolphins unit, and the Seahawks just held them to 3 points. So whatever you want to say, Yes, it was Tim Boyle. Yes, it was Skylar Thompson. A year ago, this pretty much identical offense minus Tua Tagovailoa hung 70 on the Broncos. So, for all the crap you want to say the Seahawks haven't played anyone, well, they've still gotten the job done. Let's go over to the offense. Geno Smith wasn't super sharp. 26 for 34, which is great. 289 yards, which is, phenomenal. A touchdown, okay. And then the 2 interceptions. One kind of banged off a receiver's helmet, or I forget what it was. It was deflection and then a catch in Seahawks territory. Not great there. And then another one was just a really bad throw by Geno Smith. I thought Smith held on to the ball a few times a little bit too much. Still, do I think Geno Smith is a great quarterback? No. Do I think he's a good quarterback? Yes. This is a guy that you're not going to win a Super Bowl with, but it is a dude that I think the Seahawks could go to the playoffs with. Geno Smith is, a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. However, nowadays that just isn't enough to win a Super Bowl. And look, you can say, well, the Seahawks' goal isn't to win a Super Bowl. They don't have a good enough roster. They're young. It's Mike McDonald's first year. Blah, 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 blah. I would disagree with you. Quite frankly, I would say I think it's every team's job every single year, if you're the Panthers or if you're the Chiefs, to go out there and win a Super Bowl. So, look, I don't think Geno Smith can do that, which is why I still want to move off Mr. Smith. And I think the Seahawks should do that sooner rather than later. Every time I watch Geno Smith, that hypothesis is reconfirmed in my head. But do I think Geno Smith is a quote-unquote bad quarterback? No, he's not. He's good enough to get the job done. He makes the right reads, 80% of the time. And he has a lot of good weapons that helps him out. And let's talk about those weapons now. On the forefront of everybody's mind is DK Metcalf. He goes 4 receptions for 104 and a tutty. Took that one to the crib. It was like a 60-yard receiving touchdown where DK just absolutely burned whoever the hell was on him. He was open by about 10 yards. Geno Smith underthrew him about 5 yards. So DK had to kind of slow up and then almost got caught because of the defender. But Mr. DK Metcalf is just too big, too fast, too strong. He is an elite wide receiver, and on a team that has Tyler Lockett, JSN, Noah Fant, and an average to below average quarterback, DK Metcalf is still putting up elite numbers through 3 weeks of the NFL. So shout out DK Metcalf. He had another great week. Someone else who had a great week is Noah Fant, and Fant's a guy that hasn't had a good first couple of weeks here in 2024, but he responds. 6 receptions for 60 yards. I liked some of the pass catching he did. I liked the blocking he did. Noah Fant provides a lot to the table, is one of the better pass catchers from the tight end position in the NFL. It's more the blocking that's been kind of the concern, and from what I saw today, I thought Noah Fant held his own, and if you get 6 receptions for 60 yards, some of that downside can be outweighed by what he does offensively. And then Tyler Lockett, a nice little bounce-back game for him after having, one catch was it, against the Patriots? He goes 5 receptions for 46 yards. He doesn't have a touchdown or anything, but look, Tyler Lockett at this point in his career, that's good numbers. Tyler's going to be the guy that will just always be able to make that big catch when you need him to. He'll be able to toe tap his way to victory. He might not be the fastest guy on the field, but he's a leader. He knows what he's doing. He helps the younger guys around him succeed. And he can also be a productive player from a stats, standpoint. And he shows that this time. 5 receptions, 46 yards. He'll take that every day of the week. JSN, a little bit of a regression. 3 receptions, 39 yards. He was actually open a lot throughout the game. Just didn't find him. There's just a lot of really good targets. So, look, if Noah Fant goes 6 receptions, DK goes 4, and Tyler goes 5, where is that leaving guys like JSN to get touches? It's not. He still has 3 of them, but that's kind of what happened on that front. But really the story offensively was what I saw out of Zach Charbonnet. I love Kenneth Walker. I'm going to preface this before I say what I'm about to say. Kenneth Walker, elite running back. However, from what I saw today, there is not much of a difference between Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker as far as what they provide value-wise to the team. Do I think Kenneth Walker is better than Zach Charbonnet? Yes. But I think Charbonnet is more than serviceable. I think that if you say, if you have no preconceived notions about both of these guys, and you just show a random NFL fan the tape of both Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, the opinions, and the reviews will come back mostly the same. Obviously, Kenneth Walker has a little more burst, a little more athleticism. Zach Charbonnet, a little bit more strength. But Charbonnet was dragging defenders with him. He was making guys miss. He's a better red zone back than Kenneth Walker in my eyes. Maybe not as good as in the open field. Definitely not as good in the open field. But, you can argue take some of that downside with some of the upside he's given within the 20-yard line. So Charbonnet, I thought, was really impressive. Great stuff from him. 18 carries, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Charbonnet, I think, is my offensive player of the game. Really does step up. Kenny McIntosh, the Georgia product from a couple years back, someone who I was expecting to get a little bit more playing time in this game, still just 3 carries for 11 yards. Kenny McIntosh, if he can't get touches with K9 out, when is he going to get touches when K9 is back? He's not. So, I like Kenny McIntosh, I do. But it seems like Mike McDonald and Ryan Grubb, either A, really like Charbonnet, or B, just don't want to utilize McIntosh for whatever reason. Not sure what's happening there. Defensively, Rayshawn Jenkins, once again, I think this is the 3rd straight week I mentioned his name as someone who really stood out to me. I swear, every time I look down on my phone when I'm watching this game, or I heard the play call, his name just continuously pops up. Rayshawn Jenkins with the tackle. Jenkins on the pass coverage, or whatever it may be. Jenkins on the QB hurry. He's always doing something. And once again, he leads the Seahawks in tackles. 10 total, 8 solo, 2 assisted. I mean, the second highest is 6, and that's Tyrese Knight. Derek Hall had 5 tackles as well, and had a couple of sacks. Hall looked dominant all day long. He was, breathing in Tim Boyle and Skylar Thompson's face for the majority of this game. So shout out to the one, the only, Derek Hall. Just defensively, there's only so much praise I can give around. Everyone did good. I thought everyone looked good. So, shout out this Mike McDonald-led defense, where, once again, my kind of monologue to start the post-game show of, look, I don't care that the Seahawks beat the Broncos, Patriots, and Dolphins. They beat them, and they beat them, in a defensive showing that showed the Seahawks are a top 10 defense in the NFL. Look, you barely squeezed by the Patriots. Okay, the Patriots just came off a big win against the Bengals. You knew that was going to be a tough game. The defense looked great. Now you come against the Dolphins, and you win handedly, and the defense looks like the best defense in the NFL for a week. But now, it's your first big test. Monday Night Football. 8 days to prepare, so you get an extra day. You got Seahawks-Lions in Detroit. Geno Smith and them boys last year were able to get the job done at Ford Field. Can they do it again? And can this defense be able to replicate what they have done in the first 3 games of this year? That's the question that is on my mind, and that's the question that should be on your guys' mind. Because if the defense can do what they've done the last 3 weeks, I have the Seahawks going 4-0 going into Week 5 against the Giants. So you can do the math. But if the Seahawks beat the Lions, you can be a shoo-in for 5-0. And then you're getting to the point where you're not only thinking about playoffs, but you're thinking about winning the whole NFC West. Huge game in 8 days. Seahawks got extra time to prepare, and I think Mike Macdonald will have this defense firing on all cylinders. We'll have to see what the Lions are able to do against the Seahawks defense, and is the defense legit? All things that are running through my head right now, but something that will not be running through my head is, no question that the Seahawks dominated the Dolphins today at Lumen Field, 24-3. So this is NW Sportscast Seahawks post-game show. I didn't even make a Mariners post-game show. A, because I was busy. B, because what the expletive was that? Holy, not trying to change subjects here, but you can summarize my thoughts in a few choice words, if you know what I mean. The Mariners are now, finding ways to lose ball games, but also finding ways to just hang in it enough just to piss me off, because I know we're not making the playoffs, but I also know that this team isn't going to die until the very last game of the year. They're going to give me hope. And even if it's this much hope, they're going to give me something to hold on to. So at this point, I'm just not making post-game shows for the Mariners because whatever. You guys aren't listening to me for the Mariners. This is a Seahawks post-game show. Random tangent. This is the NW Sportscast. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe on the video. Seahawks win 24-3. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll get out of your hair. See you guys.